Great to have you with us here on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schneid. It's Tuesday, December 2nd. Tonight, taking a look at why Utah County taxpayers could be paying millions of dollars in legal fees in connection to two separate death penalty cases. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran will join me to talk about that in just a moment, plus many other things. We will take a deeper dive on tonight's show. Before we get there, the ski season is officially underway at Brighton. Opening day terrain includes two major runs that are open right now. I wouldn't call them major, sorry. I was sidetracked here with the pointing in the studio. Two runs, Majestic and Explorer lifts, cool. The Bone Zone Terrain Park is also open. We've talked a lot about the resorts opening right now. I love that we're hyping it up. Let's get to the real stuff here. Meteorologist Sean Kelly is here. Brighton is, open at this point. Yay, it's late. We just need to continue the momentum here. We need some storm cycles to move through.
Yeah, and we're starting to see maybe a couple inches of snow as we head through the evening and into the overnight. The radar finally becoming a little bit more active here. You can see that snow up into the mountains and across the valley floors. We're now starting to see a little bit of that moisture here. It's a mix of rain and snow here in the Salt Lake Valley, but this will eventually turn to all snow, and it'll be light for the most part here through the overnight, but definitely nice to see. Temperature here falling down 38 degrees. We've got the winds out of the west-northwest, 12 miles per hour, a little bit of reduced visibility. Roads are slick here this evening, so be mindful of that. Take it slow, but those snow chances will continue through the next few hours, and then this model shows that it kind of clears up, but we'll leave it here in the forecast through early tomorrow morning, the opportunity for a few showers here. About a 30% chance for those lingering showers to continue, especially down across the southeastern part of the state, but we're watching out for a more significant storm moving in by the end of the week into the weekend. This will be milder, but will be more impactful for our northern mountains. We'll talk about more of that coming up in the next few minutes.
All right, Sean, thank you. Before you head out tomorrow, be sure to download the 2 News weather app. Always be in the know when you've got something brewing. That's important. Get live radar and weather alerts right on your phone. The app is free to download. 2 indigent defendants, both facing a potential death sentence, both unable to pay for their own attorneys. Utah County taxpayers are on the hook for potentially millions of dollars in legal fees for the attorneys contracted to represent them. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran is here and is looking into the taxpayer angle in all of this. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Brian. Well, it's a war of words in court filings. The defense team for Michael Jane arguing about equitable treatment when compared to accused assassin Tyler Robinson. The case of Michael Jane, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against Jane for the murder of Santa Quin Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier. Prosecutors in the same county are seeking the death penalty against Tyler Robinson for the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Court filings show the appointed attorneys in the Jane case, Rudy Batista, Jonathan Nish, and J.G. Askar, are pressing for more money. On November 20th, Askar filed this motion to order funding for a third attorney because the original contract only has Batista and Nish on it. Askar accuses the county of putting hard caps on Jane's case, but not on Tyler Robinson's case. The footnote says, could anything be more un-American than Utah County trying to tell Mr. Jane, we've arbitrarily decided your attorneys can only spend so much time on your case, even though we're totally fine letting Tyler's attorneys choose how much time they need to allocate toward his defense. Utah County Commissioner Skylar Beltran emailed me back saying in part each case is different and that they always consult with their defense expert Greg Skordas. The county works to protect taxpayer funds by including standard caps. In Robinson's case, we determined it was in the best interest of all parties to move forward without the usual cap. That situation was very unique and involved irregular circumstances, which warranted a deviation from our normal practice. Civil Division Chief Paul Jones says under the Jane contract there are no hard caps. There are presumptive caps the defense can exceed if they demonstrate an extraordinary need for additional funds. Askar asking Judge Thomas Lowe to be allowed to withdraw from the Jane case. So what does all of this mean for the taxpayer if Michael Jane's defense attorneys succeed?
It is a lot of money, and we want to make sure it's spent efficiently and correctly.
Billy Hesterman, president of the Utah Taxpayers Association.
Well, in the case of Utah County, where they have a budget that's in the hundreds of millions, hopefully, something like this that will be millions of dollars, they can shift their budgets around and cover it with what they already have in their coffers. If not, certainly it could mean a tax increase for the residents within Utah County.
Generally, property tax or sales tax hikes.
Hopefully the commission at that time will have put aside maybe some of those projects that were, again, nice to haves, and maybe cut back services that are being provided to make sure that this fund is getting the sufficient amount of money it needs.
Commissioner Beltran says tax increases are evaluated using a holistic approach. So no, a tax increase is not imminent due to either case. That's not to say both aren't a significant expense to taxpayers, but we're making it work. Now, as for J.G. Askar asking to withdraw from Jane's case, Christopher Ballard, who is the chief of staff for the Utah County Attorney's Office, says Askar has never been a party to any contract with Utah County to represent Mr. Jane on any case, but that Rudy Batista and Jonathan Nish may have agreed to allow him to join the defense team on the capital case and file an appearance for Jane, which he did. Now, I emailed Batista and Nish asking about this, but did not receive a response. I talked to Mr. Askar today. He tells me Batista brought him on after Jane rejected 2 other attorneys. Brian?
Well, Wendy, that is the bigger piece of this. There's been this constant juggling back and forth since the very beginning about legal representation. Does Michael Jane like who's representing him? All of these things. And it's almost gotten in the way of the main focus of what we're trying to do here, which is go through the process. Death penalty cases, we've obviously talked about the cost, the taxpayer element, but what else stands out to you about what's going on right now with this case that really isn't going anywhere right now?
What really stood out to me and why we did this story to begin with is because of the court filings with Mr. Askar asking to withdraw, but first filing a motion on November 20th asking to add a 3rd attorney to the case, because in a capital case, it requires 2 death penalty qualified attorneys to represent the defendant in that. And so I was scouring the court record, and it was very interesting because he wrote this motion, you know, asking to be asked to the case because he's not on the contract, because it was initially signed with Utah County with just Mr. Batista and Mr. Nish. And so therefore, it comes down to a matter of who's getting paid at this point. The county had allocated $80,000 for preliminary hearing costs. And you know, in any death penalty case, the first thing that the defense attorneys are going to do is hire mitigation experts. Now, mitigation means they're going to hire these experts who are going to go out and find out if the defendant had suffered, you know, any trauma as a child, or was sexually abused, has mental illness. They're going to look for all of those things to mitigate the aggravating factors in a death penalty case, which are the murder, you know.
Well, and all of this comes with a cost too. So there is the dollar element at the end of the day where that money, as we've learned, does come from somewhere, yes, but also has to go to something. So what else are Mr. Batista and Mr. Nish looking for? They've modeled a lot of the recent filings in this case after another very well-known case, which has to do with what ultimately took place at UVU with Charlie Kirk and ultimately Tyler Robinson, who's in custody right now.
You are absolutely correct. And the big theme here is equitable treatment. That's the bottom line. They saw what happened in the Robinson case, where the defense attorneys had asked, motion for him to be allowed to wear civilian clothing, or regular clothing, if you will. That's just a bigger term for that.
We had a feeling that would maybe set a precedent.
Yeah, exactly. And also no shackles. Yep. Now, we know in the Robinson case, he's allowed to wear regular clothing, but he is to be remained shackled. But as media, the photojournalists are not allowed to film him walking in, standing up, or walking out, or film any of the shackles. And so Batista and Nish and Askar saw this, and they're asking for equitable treatment. And so they started with the civilian clothing, they started with the shackles, and now they're looking at the funding. So if Mr. Robinson's defense team has no caps on the attorney's fees, why does their case have a cap? But yes, the county came back though and said, you know, they will work with them. They said they are negotiating. They amended the contract, so if they can prove an extraordinary circumstance that they need additional funding, they no longer have to go through the court, a judge, to get that. They go right to Utah County.
What I was going to mention is the Tyler Robinson situation has exposed a lot of things about what can and cannot be done and how things are treated and how things are talked about before trial, before even moving along, some of which I brought to you recently about evidence and things and body, surveillance video and all these different things. And it's just kind of opened up a can of worms about a lot of other situations, which is what's happening with this case.
That's spot on correct. Absolutely.
Wendy, thank you very much. Let's do this again soon. There's a lot to unpack here, and there will be more. So both Wendy and I have done several reports on Michael Jane. I looked into his history. He's had a very storied past when it comes to run-ins with law enforcement in numerous states. Those are some of the photos there. And Wendy's also looked into the developments in Utah County. You can find all of those past reports on our website right now, also on our KUTV YouTube page. Still ahead here on Arc Salt Lake tonight, ride along with the agency tasked with keeping Utahns moving on our highways, what they deal with on a daily basis, and their efforts to reduce road debris. From traffic to crashes, 2 News has brought you stories about chaos on Utah roads, notably the dangers of road debris, the accidents caused by it, and the effects on drivers. Very few know more about what happens on Utah roads than UDOT's incident management teams. The big boxy vehicle out there on the freeway, David Ochoa rode along with them during the busiest time of day and brings us a closer look.
Sirens on the freeway don't always mean UHP. Sometimes it's their right-hand man. UDOT's Incident Management Team.
Salt Lake 9 Alpha 512 10
Entry.
From shutting down lanes, helping stranded drivers,
Do you want me to hang out for a second?
to changing tires in the dark. Members of the IMT like Dale Talbot spend hours a day on the road helping whoever they can.
Our job is emergency traffic control to make sure we're all safe.
For someone like me who isn't used to standing in the middle of the freeway or on the shoulder, it's nerve-wracking. But for someone like Talbot, who has years of experience on the IMT, it's just another day in the office. However, there is something about Utah roads that makes even him nervous.
You see that truck up there that has a load of furniture or something in it? And yeah, it might all be strapped down good, but you just don't know.
Talbot has seen just about all there is to see on the road, including lots of debris.
People will lose washer and dryers and refrigerators and dressers, furniture, anything like that. And speak of the devil, look, there's a full couch on this, or a sectional here on the shoulder.
Look at that.
And I'm sure that was in the freeway probably earlier today.
Talbot told me about some of the things he's seen, and it's not all as big as a couch or a fridge, but even small debris can be dangerous.
The other day there was a vehicle had lost a tire on the opposite side of the freeway, and the lug nut came through the windshield and came into the vehicle. Just the lug nut. And I can only imagine people in the vehicle that happens to. That's just traumatizing.
I've talked to several people who have had things come through their windshield while driving, and they'll tell you in their own words what it's like.
I was definitely freaking out. It's just crazy. It was very life-threatening.
Life-changing events when something comes flying through your windshield.
All three of them told me it's now on their mind every time they drive on the freeway.
There are so many horror stories of debris coming through the windshield or hitting your vehicle. It happens way more than I think people realize.
According to the Department of Public Safety, there's been 9 deadly debris-related crashes and thousands of total crashes since 2019.
On average, the Utah Highway Patrol responds to about 70 calls per day statewide for unsecured loads and debris that they need to clear off of our roadways. That adds up to about 25,000 calls per year.
Jason Metman with the Highway Safety Office says UDOT spends nearly $3 million a year to clean up debris.
It's a huge expense to the taxpayer, and it's a huge expense for the driver who's just trying to get through traffic.
So what is Talbot's advice as someone who spends hours a day on the road?
If you're traveling the freeway, never drive behind anybody with a trailer, a dump truck, a pickup truck. Just signal over, back off, make some space, because you don't know what they have in the bed. You don't know if it's tied down enough. You just don't know.
Right now, Utah appears to have fewer crashes this year than prior years. As of September 30th, there have been 379. The next lowest is 584 from last year. But we'll also have to wait and see. I'm taking a look at these numbers as well. We'll also have to wait and see until we get the numbers for the final quarter of 2025. Some of the numbers we brought you yesterday were focused purely on even wrong way crashes, but now we're looking at the bigger picture. Let's get to your forecast now with meteorologist Sean Kelly. We were looking at cameras. We were looking at some cameras. We got a graphic now, but we were looking at some cameras over on the Wasatch Back where there's some heavy snow coming down. I mean, pretty good snow for a lot of the areas where it was even blanketing the Highway 40 out there and was making for some
Right,
tough
it's
driving
pretty hit or
conditions.
miss right now. More misses, I feel like, across the area. But it's starting, and we'll continue to see the best chance for that rain-snow mix here through the next several hours and into early tomorrow morning's commute, though. Very minimal accumulations, but again, it's getting colder and colder, and if you are seeing raindrops, you'll eventually see at least some snowflakes here as those temperatures continue to fall. And we already have seen them fall here in the Salt Lake Valley. We're just at 41 degrees here in Salt Lake City. Now we're at 38. So the temperatures will continue to fall, including in the Provo area where we're seeing that snow right now. And you can see a little bit of reduced visibility. It is raining right now in downtown Salt Lake City. 29 in Park City, 31 in Heber. We're dealing with temperatures for much of the state, plenty cold. We're at 20 in Panguitch. We've seen some good snow across the southeastern part of the state in the Monticello area earlier today. Some flurries out in that same region up through Moab Beaver, Richfield area as well. But further up towards the north, it's northern Utah's turn to see some of those scattered rain and snow showers. Eventually, this will all turn to snow showers for all of us here, especially as we head through the next few hours. But at that point, we're going to continue to see kind of that drier air start to work its way in. So we'll be watching this here closely. I think Tooele Valley will win out with the maybe the most amount of snow here through the overnight, as we could get a band that kind of sets up over you here, some lake enhanced snow there, some lake effect as well. So we'll be watching out for that. Provo again seeing that rain transition over to some snow there. Draper seeing some snowflakes. That's all because the main part of the storm is now over northern Utah. So now through about 2 a.m. will be the best chance to see some snow. By 7 a.m. for the morning commute, I think we're dry here across the Salt Lake Valley and up towards the north, but down across our eastern part of the state, down towards the south and east, we've got one last round of maybe some light accumulating snow here before this is all wrapping up as we make our way into Wednesday evening. So in terms of snowfall amounts, again, a couple inches possible in the Tooele Valley area. Fillmore, Bryan Head could see a couple inches of snow. Up into the Cottonwoods, maybe a couple inches on top of what we've already seen, getting close to at least maybe an inch there. Then we quiet things down as we get into Thursday. We've got another storm Thursday night into Friday here. That could be another snowmaker here for even the Salt Lake Valleys. Then a milder storm, but more significant storm moves in from Saturday into Sunday, and that could be the one that produces some good snowfall for our mountains. So those lows overnight, we're down to the 30s and 20s. Highs tomorrow into the 30s across the state. A little bit cooler, chillier than today. And for St. George, looking at temperatures here into the 50s. Sunshine each and every day, 60s as we head into the weekend and into early next week. And then across the Wasatch Front, we're dealing with some lingering snow showers tomorrow, staying put into the 30s for the next 2 days. We'll have to watch out Thursday night into Friday. We may get a period of some snow here in the Salt Lake Valley, a brief period of maybe some accumulating snow, and then it transitions over to rain. So watch out for that.
Were you thinking, is that more of a lake effect, given that time
No,
of day?
it's a storm that'll be milder, warmer.
Okay.
So it'll hold more moisture, but it'll be cold to start, finish off warm. That usually means some good snow for the mountains.
But that may mean measurable snow at the airport.
Briefly, yes.
Like
before
enough
it goes over, yes.
to hit the streak. Okay.
I think we might end that streak at the airport this evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be keeping an eye on that.
A trace, yeah.
Thank you, Sean. We'll be right back. Organizers putting the finishing touch on this year's Festival of Trees. It starts tomorrow at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. It's a really good time, by the way. Nonprofits decorated more than 550 trees.
Once it ends, all the trees will be sold, with the proceeds going to Primary Children's Hospital. The festival runs from tomorrow until Saturday.
Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.